So I think we'll just make a start. It's being live streamed first on YouTube as well. So if at any point you get disconnected, you can join back in Zoom. However, I do have to admit you into the back into the room, which if we're drawing the meditation, I might not see. So you can go onto our YouTube channel and also watch via there as well. So just to let you know that it's recording as well. So all the cameras and mics are off anyway. So just to let you know that, and so it'll be a 40 to 45 minute meditation. Initially, we'll just go through some just information just for the new users who are watching through YouTube or who's not done any meditation before. So what is meditation? So meditation is actually just bringing our attention into our natural presence, into that natural sense of just existing, that you're aware, conscious. It's just bringing your attention into that conscious awareness, into that presence. So it's going beyond the thought, the mental layer, and the psychological identity, and it's going into one's existential reality, that unchanging presence, that sense of just being aware, just being alive, just existing in the moment, bringing that attention to that space of just being. That is meditation, and different techniques are used. So the breath, or different sounds, or different focusing on different chakras, or a light, or different elements can be used. So that initially helps to develop the concentration, keeping the attention focused on one object. And then it's about shifting the attention 180 degrees, shifting the attention back into its source, back into oneself. And when the attention get absorbed into that space of being, that's a natural, effortless meditation. It's not something that you do initially. The concentration part, you feel there's some effort to actually practice and do, because your attention will move to other stimuli. But after, it's about just abiding in your natural awareness into oneself. And that's an effortless meditation. That's an effortless space of being. And so in today's technique, we'll be using three different techniques. So initially to get you from that concentration, to develop that concentration and absorption, and then to the third eye. First, we'll start with the breath, and then the third eye, and then we'll move to a contemplation on that natural state of meditation. So where we'll be able to drop using any technique and just relax in one's own presence into that effortless sense of meditation. So just make yourself comfortable right now, whether that's sitting, lying down. Preferably sitting is best to keep yourself alert and aware, and just making sure that you minimize your distractions in your environment. Putting your phone on silent or whatever it may be, using a blanket, any cushions to help you make you feel comfortable. And when you're ready, just closing your eyes in your own time. When you're ready, just closing your eyes. And as you close your eyes, just bring your attention to the breath. So just bringing first your attention to the nostril area. And as you breathe in, you can feel air passing in through the inner nostrils as you inhale. And as you exhale, you can feel again that sensation of air leaving back out the nostril. So just allowing your attention to be at the nostril area. And in the inner nostrils, you can feel the air coming in as you inhale. And you'll feel that sense of air coming out as you exhale. So you're feeling them sensations as the air comes in through the nostrils. You're feeling that sense of air touching the inner nostrils and the different sensation it creates in the inner nostril. They are aware of the different sensations in the nostril area as you inhale and exhale naturally. So you don't need to change or alter your breathing in any way. Just allow your breathing to flow in its natural rhythm. As you inhale, being aware of the breath coming in, feeling the sensation it creates in the inner nostril. And as you exhale, again, feeling that sensation of air moving back out the nostril. So you may feel that sensation of air in the left nostril or the right nostril or both the nostrils. Usually, predominantly, you may feel that sensation of air in the right nostril more or the left nostril more. And with time, that shifts as well. So just being aware now, where do you feel that sensation of air the most? You feel it in the right nostril, the left nostril? Do you feel it lower down the nostril, maybe near the upper lip? You can feel the sense of air, or lower down the nostril, or do you feel it high up the nostril near the bridge of the nose? Where do you feel that sensation of air the most? And wherever you feel the sensation of air the most, just sort of focus your attention there more without creating too much tension, just a gentle focus at that area where you feel the sensation of air coming in and out the most. If you feel it equally through both the nostrils, then just be aware of the breath through both the nostrils. Watching the breath coming in, watching the breath going out. And naturally, your attention will start to move to different thoughts or different sensations in the body or different sounds or different experiences in your outer environment. So each time you notice your attention is not with the breath, you'll find your attention maybe caught up in some thinking and you forgot about concentrating on the breath. So in that moment, when you recognize your attention into some thought or some other experience, in that moment, just take a step back and just consciously be aware of that particular thought you may be having, emotion, sensation, or sense experience. In that moment, just watching that particular thought, watching that particular sensation or emotion, or sound or experience, just being present to it, just being aware of it without reacting to it in any way. So you may find also that a part of your identity, your inner self image, you may be identifying with certain thoughts, certain emotions. You may be reacting certain unpleasant thoughts and emotions, trying to push away, or you might be trying to hold on to certain thoughts or emotions. Just be aware of that. Step, take a step back and just be consciously aware of the thoughts, the experiences that you're having, and any part of your identity which may be reacting to that particular thought or emotion. And to find that space of awareness within oneself, which is aware of both the experience and that sense of self image or identity or inner narrative, which is reacting and creating a story around that particular experience. So just being aware of that in the moment and then slowly, gently bringing your attention back to the nostril area, bringing your attention back to the breath. Watching the breath coming in, watching the breath going out. And as you watch the breath in this way, slowly your breath becoming more deeper, more slower, more rhythmic in nature by itself. You don't need to force your breathing or consciously slow down your breathing in any way. But just as your attention, as your concentration deepens, naturally your breathing will start to change. Your breathing will become deeper, slower, more calmer. And as the breath changes, you'll also notice your mind. It starts to slow down. And also the body functions start to slow down. And you feel a sense of tranquility and calmness in the body and mind. As your breathing changes, as your breathing is a changes and affects your state of mind, emotions, and your body functions. You'll notice when you're experiencing some unpleasant thoughts or emotions, your breathing will become erratic, will become faster, or you experience some anxiety, you'll feel it in the body, and also your breathing will start to change. And start when you start to become consciously aware that the breathing is changing, focusing on the breathing, focusing on the breath, just being aware of it, naturally the breath starts to flow in its natural slow rhythm. The breath starts to become calmer, then also the mind starts to settle. The mind becomes calmer, slows down, the thoughts slow down, and then also the body starts to slow down, and your nervous system starts to calm down just by just being aware of the breath and just watching the breath without reacting or grasping onto any experience, but just to be aware moment to moment of the breath coming in and out. Naturally, your mind and body starts to calm down. Normally, our attention is habitually moving to each and every thought, each and every sense experience, each and every impression from the world. Now we learn to consciously, with our own will and intention, to focus it on the breath. And in this way, our will and intention become stronger. Our attention is able to concentrate on one object for longer periods of time. And as our concentration deepens, we feel that sense of calmness in the body. Our thoughts slow down. Our body starts to feel calmer, more tranquil. Because no longer our attention is moving here and there to each and every stimuli. If your attention is still moving to each and every thought, just be aware of that. The first step is to become consciously aware of the movement of attention, to become consciously aware of the different habitual patterns of thoughts, emotion, our attention moves to and gives energy to. When we become consciously aware of them, then we can, with our own will and intention, we can shift our attention to the breath and focus on just the breath. And in that process, we also become consciously aware of the different beliefs and the different narratives we're placing our energy and attention into and we're believing into. Normally, this is unconsciously happening habitually by itself. Now we start to bring conscious awareness into our inner reality, into our moment to moment experience. Watching the breath coming in, watching the breath going out. Concentration deepening, staying with the breath for longer periods of the time before your attention gets diverted. And as your breath stays with the attention stays with the breath, naturally feeling a calmness in the body and mind. Thoughts slowing down and experiencing that space in between the thoughts, a space of silence in between the thoughts, where there's just that experience of the breath coming in and out, and no particular thought may be there. And so now I'll move to the second part of the tech meditation, the third eye meditation. If you wish to stay with the breath throughout the session, if you're new to meditation, you may wish to just stick with the breath. I'll give instructions for the third eye technique. You can try it, and if at any point it doesn't suit you, you can come back to the breath. And so now, still observing the breath at the nostril area. As you breathe in, visualizing the breath as a flow of energy, a flow of life force energy. And as you inhale, feeling that life force energy move up the nostrils to the point in between the eyebrows. So as you inhale, visualizing the air coming, the breath coming as a breath, as a movement of energy moving up to the point in between the eyebrows. And as you exhale, just allowing your attention to rest at the space in between the eyebrows, not following the breath back out, but just allowing your attention to rest at the space in between the eyebrows as you exhale, and feeling the energy spiraling or focusing, being absorbed at the space in between the eyebrows as you exhale. So breathing in, feeling the breath as a flow of energy moving to the point in between the eyebrows, exhaling, feeling your attention and the energy, the breath energy, focusing, absorbing, spiraling at this place in between the eyebrows. Activating the third eye chakra, the third eye energy center. And just as our physical eyes look into the outer world, the third eye is our access point to look into our inner reality and to observe our thoughts and emotions and to observe the reality moment to moment. And especially as our outer eyes look at the outer space and the objects within the outer space, our inner eye can observe that inner space, the inner boundless space within oneself. And within that inner space, there is this movement of thought, movement of impressions from the senses, movement of emotions and sensations, a constant movement of energy and form. And as you focus on the inner eye, on the third eye, you'll also connect to that formless dimension of space within oneself, which is beyond thought, beyond the mind. So first, as you're breathing in, visualizing the breath as a flow of energy rising up the nostril to the point in between the eyebrows. And as you exhale, just allowing your attention to rest at the space in between the eyebrows, feeling the attention spiraling in between the eyebrows. Feeling the breath as a movement of energy moving up the nostril, moving to the point in between the eyebrows as you inhale. And as you exhale, just feeling your attention and the energy of the breath focusing inwards at this point in between the eyebrows. And as that develops, that energy, feeling that energy going back from the point in between the eyebrows, going right back into the center of the brain, activating the pineal gland. So you do what you feel comfortable with, doing small steps. Any point you wish to come back to the breath, you can do. And once you feel your attention has sort of developed and sort of absorbed at the space in between the eyebrows, then you can leave visualizing the breath. You can stop following the breath or visualizing the breath as a flow of energy. And then instead, just allow your attention now just to rest at this space in between the eyebrows. Instead of following the breath now, just allowing your attention to rest at the space in between the eyebrows and feeling your attention being pulled to the space in between the eyebrows and feeling as though you're inwardly gazing at this space in between the eyebrows, inwardly looking into this point. And as you gaze at this point in between the eyebrows, you're feeling your attention moving back to the center of the brain, and feeling as though you're looking within oneself from the center of the brain, feeling as though you're looking through into the body, into the entire body, observing the different sensations in the body. And you're observing any thoughts that may be appearing, observing any experiences that may be appearing in this moment, and feeling as though you're observing or watching from the third eye, inwardly looking into oneself, into one's inner experience in this moment. And then behind that experience, connecting to that sense of space, inner space within oneself, a sense of infinite or boundless space within oneself. Just as you have the outer space, which holds these different objects you can perceive, inside that inner space, it's a boundless, infinite space, beyond any form, formless in nature. And within that inner space, there's this movement of form, movement of thought, movement of different sense impressions, movement of memories of past or future, of the identity, a movement of attention within this inner space. And feeling as you're observing this all from the third eye, as you look inwards, you're looking into oneself, into one's body, into one's mind, into the present moment, into your present experience in this moment. And as you observe that experience, the present moment experience, whatever thought or experience you may be having, behind that thought form or experience, connecting to the sense of space within oneself, connecting to that formless, boundless, limitless space within oneself. So also in between the thoughts, in between the experiences, it's very easy to connect to this inner sense of space, where there's no particular thought, no particular experience or impression, and there's just this sense of spaciousness, just this sense of presence within oneself, just this sense of just being aware in the moment. No particular object. Start to recognize that space or gap in between the thoughts, in between the experiences. Normally our attention jumps from each and every experience. As soon as a thought appears, it jumps to that thought. Another experience appears, it jumps to that. And our perception is only focused on each and every object that appears within. And we don't observe that sense of space or the container in which these thoughts and experiences and impressions come and go within. So now we start to become, through the third eye, we start to become aware of that inner space, that inner dimension of oneself. In the same way as you may outwardly gaze at some scene in nature, and when you're outwardly gazing, you're not focused on a particular object. Your perception is of the wide whole space around you, that space which holds these different objects in the outer space. In the same way, inwardly gazing into oneself, not particularly focusing on any thought or any experience, but just seeing these thoughts arising and dissolving, different impressions coming and going, and they're all being held in this inner space. And this inner space is unchanging, untouched by any experience. This inner space is just there, present, undisturbed by any experience, by any thought or emotion. It's that space in which these forms of thought appear, play for some time, and then disappear. And you start to recognize, as you look within oneself, as you observe your inner reality, you'll recognize that every thought, is temporary, it's not permanent. Every thought appears, our attention moves to it. It's like a vibration, that thought. At first, you can perceive it as just a vibration, as just a movement of energy, and then it becomes an image in the mind. And then attention goes to that image. There may be some reaction, identification of your identity with that particular experience. And then it starts to lose its energy and starts to dissolve back into inner space. And then again, another thought or experience may arise, and your attention will move again to that. That inner space, like the sky, the blue sky, clear sky. And within the sky, many clouds may appear. Some clouds may be very dark and dense. Some may be very light and transparent, just like our thoughts, some dense, some transparent. But that sky, the sky which holds these clouds, is unaffected. It's unaffected by the clouds that pass through it. Same way that inner space, starting to recognize this inner space, this formless space within oneself, which is unaffected by any experience or by the sense of identity or image we have of ourselves. Only our personal identity and our personal story is affected by certain thoughts, because it has a vested interest in particular memories, particular projections of the future. So it reacts and identifies, and a perception narrows into that sense of identity and narrative. So now we're exploring our inner reality, what is beyond this sense of identity, beyond the inner narrative, and what is ever present, always here. And so this leads us on to the last part of the meditation. If you wish to continue with the third eye meditation, just focusing at the point in between the eyebrows and just feeling as from the third eye, you're looking in oneself, looking into any experience which arises, and then connecting with that sense of inner space. And when you feel you've connected with that sense of inner space, then you can move to this last technique where you can drop using any technique, drop focusing. You don't need to focus anymore at this point in between the eyebrows, or you don't need to focus your attention anywhere, whether the breath or the third eye. And instead, you just recognize that you simply are aware, that you're simply alive, that you're simply existing, or you're present in this moment, or connecting to that sense of inner space within oneself, this sense of just space of just being, or space of presence in which these experiences come and go, in which even the sense of personal identity, me as this person with this particular story of the past and future, even this is just another thought which appears in the moment, which you focus your attention and give energy to. And then in its own time, even that image of oneself dissolves. And that image of oneself is constantly changing depending on your outer circumstances and experiences. So we start to recognize a part of oneself which is unchanging in nature, which is ever present. Your body changes, your mind changes, your identity changes, your experiences and circumstances in life change. But there's a part of you which is always the same from childhood, from birth, childhood, through your teenage years to now, part of you which is always the same. So connecting to that dimension of simply being, connecting to the very source of life within oneself, to that unchanging source of life or existence within oneself. So to do this is just bringing your attention to that presence within oneself, that sense of just being here, existing, a sense of just being aware here and now, not aware of something, but just being aware. What is actually aware here and now? Does that have a name or form? Is it a thought, or is there something? There's a sense of awareness before even the thought arises. There's this sense of just being aware of presence. And the thought appears within that awareness, presence, and then disappears. There's an unchanging aspect of oneself which is aware of change, aware of movement, which is the very center, very essence of oneself. The part of oneself which has no story, no past, no future. A part of oneself which is part of existence or part of life. It's not separate from life, not separate from nature, not separate from existence. Only the sense of separation exists as we move into thought, move back into the sense of identity and past and future. Or if we bring our attention just to the sense of just existing, we simply exist here and now, beyond time, beyond space, as existence, as life itself. And in that stillness, in that presence, there's that fullness of just being. There's a calmness, peace, bliss, joy, for no reason. It's the very fragrance of one's existence, of life itself. Allowing your attention to abide, allowing your attention to rest in this space of being, in this space of presence, awareness. And then that becomes another way, another technique actually, when your attention moves into back into the habitual identity and into thought. Then you take that time when you recognize your attention has moved back into a sense of identity and it's reacting to thoughts and impressions. In that moment, you become aware, consciously aware of where your attention is, and then you shift your attention back into that space of being, back into the sense of presence awareness. And then that becomes another practice where slowly the belief and energy invested into thought and into our personal story starts to decrease, and we start to really come home to oneself, the very core of oneself, and able to rest in that space of presence, into the moment, into the here now. And then life can creatively flow as well from this space, as you feel that creative impulse as it arises within one's inner space. And then that creative impulse can then flow into your actions, into your life, spontaneously through speech, through action. Instead of living life through our conditioned sense of self and its beliefs and boundaries, you live in life from the creative impulse within oneself. So as you go deeper within oneself, you'll realize there's these different aspects, two sides of the same coin. There's this aspect of stillness, this unchanging sense of awareness within oneself. You're just consciously just aware. not particularly aware of something, but just awareness itself. And then within that awareness, within that inner space, there's this dynamic movement of energy, of creativity, of creation, and that arises as thoughts and actions and the world. That then becomes the mind, and as you perceive through the mind, you perceive a sense of separation and the outside world. And I will just be finishing with the meditation. So just bringing your attention now back to the breath, back to the breath, watching the breath coming in and out, but now feeling as though your entire body is breathing in and out, feeling the pores of the skin, your entire body breathing in energy and out, feeling that sensation of air throughout the body. And then being aware of your entire body from head to toe, scanning your attention from the top of the head down to the feet, and from the feet, releasing any excess energy down into the ground, down into the earth, releasing any excess energy down into the earth, grounding oneself, and integrating this experience into the body memory, and feeling the earth energies rising up the feet, supporting, nurturing you, harmonizing, balancing the physical body, and then slowly bringing your attention into the external senses, feeling the sense of touch of the skin with your clothing, with the air around you, the temperature of the air around you. Being aware of any taste in the mouth or smell you may perceive. Slowly moving the hands, slowly moving the feet. And then in your own time, opening your eyes in your own time, taking your own time, still feeling a deep sense of calmness, peace within oneself, feeling that stillness, that silence, a sense of presence which is always there. Even as you open your eyes and your attention moves back into the senses, back into the outer world, still feeling that presence is always there, that peace is always there within oneself. Only our attention moves to our thoughts and these impressions from the outer world and jumps from there, jumps to these different impressions and distracts our attention from recognizing that space of presence, that unchanging space within oneself. Our attention and our identity is focused, feeds upon the changing phenomena, changing experience. And in the changing experience, there's that constant movement. So there's no peace of mind because the mind is movement itself. It's never fixed, never constant. So finding that space, that constant, unchanging space, and that is peace, that is silence. And that's meditation. And so if you have any questions, please do ask. You can leave it in the chat feature on Zoom, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can leave through the live chat any questions, or you can unmute your mic and you can ask any questions just to let you know that yeah, it's being recorded and live streamed as well. So if anybody has any questions, please do ask. If not, the next session is next Sunday, 2 p.m. And also you can always access all of these meditations. They're all recorded and put onto YouTube, and you can access the past guided meditations as well from on our YouTube channel. And also there's some other sound meditations and guided meditations with nature sounds also on our YouTube channel. Yeah, so thank you for coming. If anybody has anything they wish to share, they can do.
Yeah, hi, thank you. I am very ill physically, and I don't know what to do, Priyesh.
Okay. Okay.
Can we speak privately again for a few minutes?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let me just yeah, we'll switch the live stream now of anybody else got any other questions? If not, yeah, we'll switch you off. Okay, then thanks a lot. Yeah, no questions, but thank you. Oh, thank you. Thanks a lot, Rachel. Thank you. Okay, okay. I'll be switching the live stream off and I'll send the link privately, yeah.
Is it the same link as this one?
No, it'll be different.
It's a different.
Set it up, yeah. 1 second. Just give me I'll send
Will
it
it
on WhatsApp, yeah. Yeah.
Is it the same link that we used last week?
Oh no, it'll be different because I think it'll create a new link,
Oh,
maybe. Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
you're gonna WhatsApp
send-
or WhatsApp messages?
WhatsApp, I'll send it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. No problem. 1